So these are brown paper bags. We use these to recycle our N95. They have date on it, and when you use them for a shift, we put them in a brown paper bag, and we try to get as much use out of them as we can. So these are half of the bag. This is my bag. See, it says March 23rd, March 26th. I used one last night. So I probably have 2 or 3 days left of this N95 until I change it. We're going to walk out to the floor. COVID patient, more than likely. COVID patient. COVID patient. What? So, sorry. So that's just one half all the way.
You work in Chicago. I know you see gunshot wounds every day, right? You deal with traumas every single day. How does this compare to that?
This is different. Because when traumas come in or gunshots or any type of rollovers, it's an algorithm that we follow, and we've seen it 100 times, and we know how to manage it. The scary thing is that the traumas are the easy ones. I mean, we can manage it. We've done it for so many years. We know how to do it. The trouble with COVID is that we don't know how to present. We're not sure if they come in with belly pain or back pain or runny nose or just an ankle sprain and they're COVID positive. But a lot of times we can leave it at work. With COVID, we can't. We all have to figure out ways and how we can disinfect ourselves before we leave our shift. And as healthcare workers with doctors and nurses and physician assistants and respiratory techs, is that we get scared when we go home because we are vectors and we have crazy ideas how we sterilize ourselves, from using isopropyl alcohol and spraying our keychains and our door handles. And everybody has a different routine. I mean, for me personally, when I get home, I go in the garage, I strip down to my underwear, I spray isopropyl alcohol on my keys, my wallet.
There's a sick one coming in now. If you want to see all the setup before it actually happens.
Well, we're having another COVID come in. Do you want to see the setup before it comes in?
Please, please.
What room?
2.
Okay. Okay, so this is before somebody's coming in. This is I'm down in. So before we go in, we put on gowns, we put on goggles, we put on as much PPE as we had. Respirators, we could have them to intubate the patient or put a tube down their throat. But this is becoming all too common. What? The box is right here. Why don't you? I'll tell you what that is in a minute. It's called the box. ER doctors are kind of MacGyvers. We're jack of all trades, master of none. That's what people kind of talk to us. So when you intubate somebody, your face is close to them. And if you know with COVID, it's droplet. But sometimes aerosol gets in the ear. So when we intubate a patient, which is put a tube down their throat to help them breathe, we're exposed. And when we're exposed, our friends and family are exposed, and our colleagues are exposed. So in order to kind of reduce that, we have used something called the box.
This is it. So when doctors intubate patients, they're at the greatest risk to catching COVID because their face are up against your face and you're exposed to their droplets and secretions. So what we have used is something called the box. When we intubate a patient, we put this over their head, and you can use your arms to go ahead and take the scope. And instead of doing direct laryngoscopy, you can use your CMAC, and that's a little camera, so I can see his airway, and if I need anything, they can slide it through the box.
It's hard. So I've been an ER doctor for 16 years. I've been through like SARS and the Ebola scare, influenza. Um, this is the most scared I've ever been being an ER doctor. And it's not just because of me. It's because I have a wife and a 2-year-old and a 1-year-old at home. I don't want to expose them. So it's hard when I go home. I have to distance myself from my kids, sometimes my wife. And it's always in my head. Like, did I wash my hands thoroughly enough? Did I put enough isopropyl alcohol? Was my shower hot enough? I'm sure I didn't track myself. Even doesn't matter how much isopropyl alcohol I spray in my car or the door or my shoes, which I don't even bring home. I worry about giving it to my family. Because I can't see it. With the traumas and the gunshots, I know it's okay. I leave it at work. But this I can't. And we still do it. I mean, the doctors, the nurses, the respiratory techs, we still do it. And people say it's our job. It's not our job, it's our duty, and it's what we signed up for. But I was telling you, Dave, you know what makes it work? It's the people. People reaching out to us with the text messages. Thank you. We love you. God bless you. What do you need? Can we drop off food at your house? I mean, I've been an ER doctor again for such a long time. Very rarely do I get thank you. Like, thank you for saving my life. It's just what we do. But
what makes you cry?
3 things. 1, that this is America and we're so underprepared. Number 2 is that we will beat this. I know we will, but it's going to take time and people need to do their part. And number 3 is I worry about giving to my family.
Do you see them? What is your family life at home right now like?
It's hard. I mean, it's stressful. I mean, my wife is a tough New Jersey girl, but even for her, it's really hard. I mean, she's stoic, but she's scared all the time. I mean,
you have 2 young kids. Do you hold them?
Not like I should. You know, and the worst is because they're 2 and 1 and they're so young, but they sense it. They know it. They know that daddy's thinking about other things, and I can't jump and hug them and kiss them like I usually do, because even in the back of my head, I think, what if I didn't clean myself properly? What if I still have something on me? I mean, at times I think about, should I just go to a hotel for 2 weeks? And I deal with gunshots every day and trauma and crazy stuff, and this is the only thing that scares me. ERs were built not for pandemics. At our ER, we have 3 isolation rooms, but those patients are going to be there for time because our whole ICU is patients with COVID who are on respirators, and this is ubiquitous. It's every hospital. So the patients, the new patients are coming with COVID, are going to have to go to normal rooms.
How many patients do you see on a daily basis that are suspected of being COVID positive?
Over 60 to 70% every day. And the worst part, or the most difficult part, is the patients who came in with generalized, like I had a patient last night who had generalized abdominal pain. That's it. White count was okay, but she was in quite a bit of cramping, so we decided to do a CAT scan. And her CAT scan was belly, so her belly was normal, but with the slices of the CAT scan, we went up a little her lungs, and her lungs had this appearance that's consistent with COVID. So we don't even know how it's presenting anymore.
How does your experience in the ER compare with the very limited data that we have coming out of China and Italy?
It's a good question. We've been using what pretty much, because again, it's so new, we don't have the studies to prove what works, what doesn't work. What we've been using pretty much is a MacGyver method of trying to figure out if it's COVID, because we can't do the testing, number 1, because we do the testing, but it takes 3 to 5 days. So we do deductive reasoning. If their white count is normal and their lymphopenic, which is something that we look at, and their x-ray looks like COVID and their influenza negative, it's COVID. I mean, I'm at the point where I don't even have to go into the room. I know what they have. I look at an x-ray, I'm COVID. And then we have to think, if your oxygen saturation is above a certain number, then are they safe to go home? Hopefully, but will I see them 5 days later? Maybe. And I can't discriminate who's going to come back and who's going to be okay at home. That's the hardest part.
We keep hearing that young people are not as affected by this. Has that been your experience?
You can tell it the 27-year-old I intubated last week who had no medical problems, who had a wife and a kid. So
how is he doing?
He's still intubated, but he's doing okay.
This COVID patient who's coming in right now, the suspected COVID, he's coming by ambulance, I assume. How critical is he?
They're doing CPR on him. Yeah. Yeah.
One of the other really tough things is sometimes we gotta stabilize patients enough that we know they're going to die, but their family can come in and say goodbye. But it's really sad with these COVID patients because you have a nice middle-aged gentleman, anyone, they come in and they have to die alone. And that's really tough. And we know that when we're intubating them. We know that data that if you're over 65 or more comorbidities, there's a 90% chance of dying on the vent. So when we're intubating them, we're basically assuming they're going to die. And that's really tough because you know they're going to die alone. A lot of these people are dying who are, like I said, over 65 or more comorbidities. They almost all die. And you just wish, usually you have some peace of mind going home that you gave the family, they gave the patient enough time to stay alive, the family could come say goodbye. And in these situations, that's not even happening. These patients are dying alone, which is really sad. Tell me, Doc, about some of the unusual cases you've had where people come in with something that shouldn't be COVID related and it is. Sure. The most bizarre one I've seen so far is the patient that came in with a concerning history for throat cancer, and we got the CT scan of the throat. We just caught a glimpse of the lungs, and on that we saw he had findings consistent with COVID. When I went in and specifically asked him, any cough at all? You promise you've had no cough? He said, well, maybe a little bit of a cough. It's just very minor symptoms. So it's either lurking. It can be so many things. It can be the stereotypical presentation, which is very obvious. It can be very subtle, and that's kind of like we keep saying, that's the scary part, because I have a 2-week-old baby at home that I'm not allowed to hold anymore. I have my wife that I'm not allowed to help out with the baby. I'm sleeping in the guest room. It's just really tough because you just don't want to hurt the people around you. May I ask you a personal question? Sure. How you doing? Frustrated, but trying to power through. So, it's frustrating because I even carry. There was the CDC said we could use bandanas as a form of protection for ourselves instead of masks. So I got one. And I carry in my pocket. I can use this American flag bandana, or I can use my respirator. And I've been sticking with the respirator, but it's frustrating. It feels like the government let us down. And on a given day, if we weren't dealing with COVID, you'd probably laugh at a doctor wearing a respirator in an ER, I assume, right? Yeah.
It wouldn't exist.
Well, there's this thing, exactly. There's this thing where we always say, well, you see someone sick, we run into the room. We don't really think about our personal protection, and now we have to change those habits. In the Ebola crisis, people were running into the room and then they were dying, the healthcare providers. And so now they're saying, people say, what's exactly? It's there are no emergencies in a pandemic. We have to protect ourselves because our gut reaction, our instincts are just to run in the room without protecting ourselves. And if we do that, there's going to be more of us healthcare providers are getting it than already have it. So we have to even change our instincts a little bit, which is sad. I like my instinct of running in the room to help.
Yeah.
Can I see you with your mask on so we know what it looks like?
Sure.
Yeah, fancy.
And you're wearing this because you don't have an N95 mask to wear?
It's hard to talk for this. It's a little bit.
It's safer than an N95, and I actually got this from, I got the filters from my dad who's a construction worker, and I got the mask from a previous job. So, it's stuff I'm bringing by myself, but it's safer than an N95, and I want the safest thing because of my 2-week-old baby at home.
Yeah. Thank you, doctor. Thank you. Scott, can I ask you a personal question?
Shoot.
How you doing?
Thank you for asking. I'm not well. I'm doing the best I can, though. Like Chris said, I'm frustrated. I'm frustrated that people were out of the lake and treating this kind of as a joke. It's not a joke. I want people to stay home. This is the real deal. I'm scared. For the first time in my life, I'm scared. Scared that we're not going to get ahead of this curve, and it's going to be everywhere, and the people are coming sicker and sicker, and we can't handle it. I'm worried that we're going to turn into New York, and it's just a matter of time, or Detroit, or New Orleans.
Are you at capacity right now?
We're always at capacity. But this just puts us at even a higher level of capacity. We have patients on ventilators down in the ER like every other hospital. But they're full upstairs because all the ICUs are inundated with COVID patients on vents.
Dr. Samlin, what's the status of the patient who came in who's performing CPR?
Bill.
Are they still performing CPR?
No, they're dead. But again, we don't know if it's COVID or not. I don't know, but they came in with cardiac arrest or trouble breathing. So that's, again, I don't know if it was COVID or not.
But you treat it, you guys basically prepared for it as they were on the way in.
Anybody who's come in with an arrest, we're preparing that they have COVID-19 or they have the coronavirus. We're treating everybody as they have it until proven otherwise in order to keep us safe. But we have hope. There's hope. I think the people who have been supporting us have been amazing. Really. Like I said, the texts, the messages, we love you, we're thinking about you, God bless you, that's what keeps us going. We kind of have a joke in ER, and the nurses and the techs and the doctors, we can do 10-hour shifts. We don't need to eat. We don't need to go to the bathroom. We don't need water. The only substance we need is those text messages and those Instagram messages saying, we think of you, we love you, what can we do for you? That's all we need. The thanks. That makes a world of difference. So if there's people out there, if you have a friend or a colleague or anybody you know in the healthcare industry who's working the front lines, just send them a text saying, thinking about you. God bless you. Love you. Thank you for what you're doing. That's all we need.
On behalf of a grateful country, thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.